alien spacecraft did not crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947.
You know flat earthers, I guarantee it. But you don't know who they are because they're afraid of talking about it.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
Hello and welcome to the 46th annual Subliminal Deception Podcast, your weekly dose of conspiracy theory bullshit. My name is Cody and I'm joined by my pal Phil. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. How about yourself?
Not doing too bad. If I'm being truthful, work has been kicking my fucking ass like the last week and a half. I don't know why it is so goddamn busy, but I can tell you one thing. I'm fucking exhausted, that's for sure. How's work been treating you?
Oh, it's been good. I've been powering through, coming off of the holidays now, so getting used to the full week, but pretty much the same.
I was going to ask you, so you probably, I don't know if you saw my Instagram post today, that I went and saw The Lodge last night. Fucking awesome movie. I loved it. So good.
Yeah, I did see that post. How was it? Is it like a remake or?
No. It's just like it's just a straight up brand new horror movie. For some reason, I have no goddamn idea why, but in Minnesota, they did an advanced screening at this like one theater that just so happened to be like my favorite theater to go to because they serve you beer and whatever. But it was awesome. I don't think it gets like officially released until like the 14th or something like that. But it was really good. I really wanted to see it because it kind of reminded me of Hereditary, which is like my favorite horror movie. It's not as good, but man, in the first like 10 minutes of that movie, usually jump scares don't get me, but fuck, man, that like within the first 10 minutes scared the shit out of me. So it was a good movie.
Yeah, I'll have to catch that one. I'm way behind. I don't have like cable anymore, so I'm way behind on like movie trailers and like movies. I'm still redboxing shit, so that's how far behind I am.
Dude, so like I don't know if you had seen it on Instagram or anything, but I think it's a new Saw movie, but it's like a spin-off of the Saw series, and the main actor is Chris Rock.
Really?
Yeah, I watched the trailer today because I'm a fan of the Saw movies, even though they kind of get really stupid, but it's weird to see Chris Rock in like a serious role where he's not being a funny guy or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that he got divorced from his wife and she got quite a bit of money, so he might need this gig.
Hey, you know what? I mean, if we've never thought of Chris Rock as like a serious actor or whatever, maybe this would be great for him. Like, maybe this would be the role that takes him over the edge. Like, I never thought of Adam Sandler as a very serious actor, but apparently that new movie, that Uncut Gems, is apparently really good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that one.
So,
but it's just you haven't seen Chris Rock in anything for years and years. So
yeah, he looks a little aged in it, but maybe that'll fit into like his role as the lead detective or whatever.
I might have to catch that one.
But anyway, Phil, it's about that time. We're each going to do a hot sheet today. Why don't you start us off with what you have found in the hot sheets?
All right, so I found a bit of a good one today. 5 tips for selling your soul to the devil.
Okay, so this is like if Joe Namath, was it written by Joe Namath? I feel like he sold his soul to the devil.
No, and it was not written by Belichick or Tom Brady either. So.
Or Robert Kraft.
Or Robert Kraft, yeah. So he might actually be the devil. So this is actually taken from a book. Japanese Satanologist, Dr. Wada Bakata.
Okay.
Yeah. So she is the world's leading expert on negotiating with Satan, and her book is How to Negotiate the Best Deal for Your Soul. And it gives you 5 tips in the article.
Sounds like the counterpoint to Trump's Art of the Deal.
Yeah, this actually might work for you. So number 1, only make contact with Satan when you are alone.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so apparently it tells you to close your eyes and say, Satan, I am ready to make a deal. And you have to repeat that 3 times, of course. So
And then Howie Mandel appears in front of you.
yeah. Probably whatever image you want the devil to take, but I guess maybe Howie Mandel for you. But don't sell your soul for less than it's worth. And that's pretty much good advice for everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, don't sell yourself cheap. Don't let the devil barter you down.
that's true. Number 3, ask for everything you want.
Okay, all right. You know what's funny about these? We never really learn what actually what does he do with your soul? Are you just gonna go to hell? Like, is that the thing? Or like, what does he do with your soul?
I don't know. In Supernatural, the TV show, you basically sell your soul. You have 10 years to live on Earth, and then you just kind of live in hell. I mean, you're probably going to live in hell anyway. That's where people go in that show. So,
All right, it's number 4.
priority housing in hell. So it's basically telling you, once you get to hell, make sure that you try to get an upgrade when you live there, so that you're not living in some shithole. You know, they want you to have your own mansion in hell, not just a cave.
So you're not stuck as roommates with like Mitt Romney or something.
Yeah, that's true. And the last one, the 100-year life extension provision. Now, this is telling you that you should put a clause on the end so that after you sell your soul, you have another 100 years of life left ahead of you. So you don't die off in the next couple years after you sell it.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I guess this is a good set of rules if you desire to sell your soul to the devil. It kind of feels like in Aladdin when you like wish for more wishes or whatever.
That's true. I do remember the great documentary Bedazzled, and
Yeah.
the devil really fucked him over in that movie with his wishes. So
I
always,
is it weird? I was thinking about that exact same movie.
yeah. Well, it is the preeminent movie for selling your soul to the devil. So
Is
Brendan
this-
Fraser, greatest actor of our time.
I
of
was
course.
gonna say, is this article written by Brendan Fraser?
It could be. Honestly, looking at his movie career, I don't think he actually sold the soul to the devil.
That was a great article. I love that. I'm gonna do mine real quick here before we get started. I'm going back to Pauline Bennett's World of the Unusual, because this seems to be my new favorite article in the Weekly World News. Now, this one is from January 6th, 1981, and it's titled, Shoots at Strange Character. Now, there's a little asterisk that says, I swear I'm not a hillbilly on there, so don't be thinking this is just some hillbilly. Charles Fulton, 39, of Mansville, Kentucky, says he fired several shots at a creature he described as more than 7 foot tall, standing on 2 feet with glowing eyes and hair like a horse's mane. After he fired, the ape-like creature turned and ran off at, quote, slow motion gallop. That's a quote from Fulton. I don't know. Are you sure? I feel like he might have just shot a horse. Like, that's
I don't know. Dirk Nowitzki must have been scared out of his mind. That's crazy.
Does he gallop like a horse?
I don't know. It just sounded like 7 feet tall, long flowing hair.
Does he have a horse hair? I suppose he might if he's Greek, isn't he?
He used to have real long hair. He's German, but
Oh, he's German. Okay. All right. This goes on. His wife Wanda and several of the children saw the creature from inside the house. Other people in the area report seeing the creature and call it the Kentucky Bigfoot. Shout out Jimmy Darr right there. Maybe that is Jimmy Darr's long lost relative there. Remember old
Yeah,
Jimmy Darr?
I think JD would have taken him down.
All right. The last thing we got to do is Madame Bennett's prediction for the week. Now, her prediction this week is an anti-flu vaccine made from sheep liver will be discovered by a Scottish scientist. Don't know if that actually happened. I kind of doubt it, but apparently that's what she claims is going to happen. So
Nice, and that's current, right?
that's
That's
from
for this week?
1961.
Oh, that's from 1961.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
definitely would know if that actually happened or not.
Yeah, we would have heard about it by now.
And I don't think it did.
No.
But all right, Phil. So, what I'm going to do here is I am going to, before we get started, I'm going to let you in on a thing here. I'm going to send you a picture on our voice application here. Now, do you see that object in said picture?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Have you ever seen this object before?
Yes, it's a very famous picture.
It is. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
apparently I've been living under a rock because I didn't know that much about this particular object. But what we're going to be talking about today is what they call the Black Knight satellite. So without spoiling anything here, how familiar with this thing are you?
I've seen quite a few videos. Apparently, it's been there for thousands of years, supposedly.
You're right. You're very right. I don't know how I've missed this thing for so long. I honestly, like, over the weekend, I was kind of like, picking my brain, like, what should we talk about this week? And somehow I just stumbled upon this, and I'm like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. You got a imposing name like the Black Knight satellite, and he's like, okay, this sounds pretty fucking metal. And then I'm reading deep into articles about it, I'm like, Jesus, this is fucking weird. And we haven't done aliens in a while, so I figured, why not? Why not get back into... Well, it's been months since we done aliens, haven't it?
Yeah, we definitely played it out after the Roswell and Area 51, during the Storm Area 51 debacle, so...
Yeah, but, I don't know. Once we get to the end of this thing, like, you're gonna look at that picture again once we get at the very end of it and see if you agree with the findings that I have found. So, let's start off here, kind of like what you said. We don't exactly know who or how this conspiracy got started, but in a roundabout way, the Black Knight satellite is believed to be about 13,000 years old. It's an old alien artifact or a possible alien satellite that's been hovering in our solar system for obviously that many years, just kind of watching over us, I guess, is the best way you could describe it. Now, that particular photo, which I'm assuming Phil will post in our Instagram feed as well, otherwise you can literally Google Black Knight satellite and there's like 9 million pictures of it. That particular photo was taken in 1998 by a NASA team, actually. And from what I could tell, basically you had that picture, and then from that picture, a whole shitload of conspiracies kind of got entangled in the web that create this giant fucking story about this thing, which essentially, a lot of people believe this particular thing is alien, and they basically use it to keep an eye on humans and what humans have been doing and all of that, which, if it is 13,000 years old, I guess that'd probably be about the appropriate amount of time to keep an eye on humans, right?
Yeah, I mean, 13,000 years ago would have been kind of when, humans stopped hunting primarily for food and started farming, so that's a pretty big leap.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, like, maybe that's why it's been given that amount of time, because I assume, 13,000 years ago, we slowly started moving into like I don't want to say more domestic animal or whatever, but we definitely started moving slowly towards like a more civilized society.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, agrarian cultures really started popping up around, I think it's like 10 to 13,000 years ago. So,
like about 13,000 years ago is when they estimate that the Homo sapiens had essentially eradicated the Neanderthals, right?
Yeah, not really eradicated them. They might have either out-hunted them or just out-fucked them or bred them into Homo sapiens. So
Yeah, that was kind of well, at least that's what the History Channel was saying, is basically the Homo sapiens would capture them and rape them and whatever, and then their DNA just kind of got mixed in with Homo sapiens and all of that, and they eventually just kind of faded off.
yeah. Well, our modern humans, like, ability to hunt, communicate, everything. We just had a leg up on every single situation. And every time Homo sapiens, modern humans, moved into their areas, they would just have to move out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think we actually have proof that they're kind of, they share DNA in some people, right? Shout out my cousin Josh.
Yeah, I think definitely.
If we believe the, 23andMe or whatever, I think that's the one he did, he's like 4%.
Really?
Yeah. If you believe theirs, I don't know. If you believe it, he's definitely got like the thick eyebrow ridge.
Yeah, he does. He's got the forehead for it. So he's
and
he's tall too.
This isn't insulting to him because he I think he has a caveman tattoo, if I remember right. So he won't be upset about that at all. All right, well, let's get started here. So, the wild web of conspiracy theories the Black Knight satellite has, it all begins with something that is actually rather weird itself, and that is the belief that it made contact with possibly the world's greatest inventor, Nikola Tesla. So, the story goes that back in 1899, Nikola Tesla had constructed a massive radio tower in Colorado Springs and was messing around with creating wireless power, which I think he is kind of famous for, whatever trying to do, when he began to receive a mysterious transmission. Now, he didn't talk about this in an interview until 1923, when he apparently talked to the Albany Telegram. I don't even know if that's still a real newspaper or not, but apparently in 1923 it was. Now, this is a direct quote from Tesla himself about the incident. I have a deep conviction that highly intelligent beings exist on Mars. While experimenting in Colorado, I obtained extraordinary experimental evidence of the existence of life on Mars. I had perfected a wireless receiver of extraordinary sensitiveness, far beyond anything known, and I caught signals which I interpreted as meaning 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe the Martians use numbers for communication because numbers are universal. Now, do you think, I guess I should ask your opinion, if we believe aliens exist or whatever, do you think they use numbers like we do?
Well, I wonder if he mistook that for some kind of like binary. That would be kind of interesting.
It could be. I don't know. It's well, the what do you mean when you say that exactly?
Oh, so it's the computer languages. It's
like zeros and ones. Yeah.
001, whatever. I don't know binary, but there's alien people, the conspiracy theorists who believe that aliens use binary, kind of like that computer language. So we don't obviously have any of his like recordings or any of his notes, but it would be interesting if there was that like still around and they could decipher it, like break it down into binary code. It'd be pretty interesting.
Actually, that's a good point now that I think about it, because if he was hearing a bunch of zeros and ones or whatever, he would just assume that they're trying to count or use numbers of some sort.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like maybe he, like, if somebody got that message now, they might automatically think it was binary. But back then, he had no idea what fucking binary was. So.
Do you remember my old roommate? We don't have to say his name or anything. That I lived with in South St. Paul or whatever, and he's kind of dirty or whatever.
Oh, the dirty one. Yeah, I remember him.
I remember he got nerd or something tattooed in binary on his arm, and it was like 80 fucking zeros and ones to make 4 letters.
Yeah, I think the thing is the R is like a lot because like the N and the R because they're at the end of the alphabet. But yeah, I remember that. It was all down his forearm.
Yeah, he was an interesting cat. Now,
Yeah.
Like I said, some people believe this was actually the Black Knight satellite attempting to communicate with Tesla. Maybe they knew he was extremely intelligent and thought he could handle the information or something. But modern conventional thinking believed that Tesla was actually picking up a radio transmission from possibly like Jupiter or Saturn, or just a random radio signal that came from deep space, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I know that there are like stars out there that give off not like it's radio waves like by accident. Like just kind of on that spectrum, they just kind of shoot them out into space.
Well, yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, it's like we talked about on our Saturn episode. Basically, I think the rings release a weird radio noise or something.
Yeah, we kind of hear it. It was like that screeching sound.
Yeah, it's really fucking creepy. I remember that. Now, continuing on, so that when we're talking about the grand scope of things with the Black Knight satellite, the Tesla thing is kind of like a maybe. That's like maybe that's what he was talking about in the conspiracy world here. But the event that a lot of people think was actually, I'm air quoting here, actually the Black Knight satellite attempting to communicate with the Earth was in 1927. Now, this time, they believe that the Black Knight satellite attempted to make contact with a Norwegian engineer named, I think it's Jorgen Hals.
Of course it is.
I would assume I should know my native people here. I think it's Jorgen. It has like the O with like the slash through it.
Yeah.
Whatever they call that. Now, Jorgen had been experimenting with radio signals himself, and he started to notice that some of the signals that he was messing with would echo back to him several seconds after the initial transmission that he had, I guess, posted ended. He was at a loss to explain what accounted for these long-delayed echoes. I think what he's trying to get at is, like, he was sending a radio signal out, and he was almost getting a response back. Is kind of what I was understanding from it. Now, apparently, still to this day, no one has an explanation for what exactly Jorgen was hearing or what signals he was picking up, which you could imagine is just feeding into deeper conspiracies itself, right? Because that's really weird, honestly, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were obviously radio transmissions. You said 1928?
27, yeah.
27. Yeah, I believe there were radio transmissions like back then, but there wouldn't have been a ton of them.
No. And it's weird.
It's odd that he was getting instant feedback.
Yeah, it was like a delayed response, but it was like from my understanding, what I could pick up is like it was almost like something was sending him radio signals back, which is kind of weird. But we
could have been the earliest rendition of those 1-900 numbers.
Hey, big boy, for just $2.99 a minute, I can pleasure you all night. What is just like a phone sex ad Jorgen was getting in his little hut for him and his reindeer there.
There are hot singles within 1,000 miles of your current location. Put your credit card number in now.
Now, the reason that people have connected Jorgen Hall's experience with the Black Knight satellite is because in 1973, science fiction author Duncan Lunan wrote an article for Space Flight magazine that speculated that a 13,000-year-old alien object in orbit around the moon could have been responsible for his otherworldly echoes. In one article, Duncan claims that he had deciphered a mysterious radio transmission that had came from space. Now, Duncan says the deciphered message said, "Start here. Our home is," I think it's Obsidian Boots. Have you ever heard of that? Apparently it's a real planet.
No, I've never heard of it.
Which is a double star. We live on the 6th planet of 7, coming from the sun, which is the larger of the two. Our sixth planet has 1 moon. Our fourth planet has 3. Our first and third planets have one, each have 1. Our probe is in the position of Arcturus, known in our maps. I'm gonna be honest, I have no fucking idea how this guy got any of this shit at all. Like, I'm assuming if he claims himself to be a science fiction author, he could have made all of this shit up, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to be that good of a science fiction author. Like, first of all, why would they call their planetary system what we call it? Like, obviously they would call it something else. And I don't think they would call the star that their planets revolve around the sun. You know, they probably, because that's like our word for, you know.
No, you gotta remember, he's claiming that he deciphered this message.
Oh, so he's putting it into like our words from
Correct.
This alien
transmission. Okay. This weird transmission. Like, I don't know if he's hinting at that he has Jorgen's transmission or what the hell he's saying, but apparently he got either he has Jorgen's transmission or he got his own transmission from somewhere in space. Don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like Scientology authors and L. Ron Hubbard. Like, oh, sorry, LRH, I might believe you if you weren't a, fiction writer.
Dude, you gotta look up some of L. Ron Hubbard's, like, fucking Wild West book titles. Like, they're so... they're like buckskin, cowboy, like, there's just so sexual sounding.
Yeah, that's the thing. L. Ron Hubbard, his, all of his books and all of his writings were first draft, best draft. So, he basically just came up with that title and was like, good, run with it. There's no revision, no nothing.
Now, an interesting thing to note about Duncan overall is that in all of his stuff, he doesn't mention the Black Knight satellite at all. But conspiracy theorists who are deeply involved with the belief of the Black Knight satellite seem to just kind of like pile him into the belief because it deals with a weird radio transmission from space that they think could be coming from the Black Knight satellite. Now, I don't know if he was embarrassed or whatever, but apparently later on Duncan went on to denounce having anything to do with the Black Knight satellite or having anything to do with basically seeding the conspiracy theory itself. He didn't want to be connected to it at all.
Yeah, it's kind of like whenever you hear the flat earth people, they only give out the evidence that supports their argument and not even all that evidence. Like, they'll give out little snippets of like, there's like the whole piece of evidence and then they'll take little bits and pieces. It's kind of what sounds like the conspiracy theorists were doing in this little situation.
You know what?
Like, it sounds like what we're talking about. So we're just going to copy paste some of it and interject it.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You know, what's funny, actually, you bring up flat earthers. So, we're going to talk about this YouTuber at the very end involving this whole thing, but I was watching his video and he's looking at all these, like, Apollo mission photographs or whatever from, like, fucking, I think it was, like, 70-something. And I'm just like, man, they went really out of their way to Photoshop a goddamn round Earth way back in 1970 when nobody cared about if the Earth was flat or not.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, why would you even need to, like, put those pictures out? It's not like anyone in their minds was like, oh, I know the Earth is flat. I just know it. I'm just waiting for NASA. Those Apollo missions are coming back with the proof,
It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
All right. So continuing on here, actually we're jumping back in time a little bit. In 1954, UFO researcher Donald Keyhoe told newspapers that the United States Air Force had reported that 2 satellites orbiting Earth had been detected. At the time, no country had the technology to launch a satellite. Now, skeptics like to claim that Keyhoe was simply promoting his new UFO book and claim he shouldn't be taken serious at all. but it's very strange that he was mentioning a satellite back in 1954, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird. They said that they detected 2 satellites.
According to him.
According to Keyhole. Oh, okay.
Because
and the Air Force said he was crazy.
He was a UFO researcher, and I'm sure it's just like all the other ones who were they have inside information or something, and he had heard that they detected 2 satellites that had been orbiting Earth, but as far as they know at that time, no country on the planet actually had launched a satellite yet.
And it would have been really hard for us to detect anything in space, considering we had no satellites and pretty rudimentary fucking telescopes back then, so.
Well, I'm assuming they had a telescope enough to at least be able to see something orbiting around Earth.
Yeah, that's true. It's just, there's a lot of space out there. And
Yeah.
even decent sized satellites that are like that far away, it's kind of hard to see them. So, like,
Yeah.
you can see like the International Space Station pretty easily with your naked eye, but that's only because it's so large.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's going to come up in this story as well. So you're just, you're I don't know, premonitioning what's about to come here, Phil, today.
Yeah, I'll have to start writing an article in the Weekly World News.
You,
That would actually be a fun job.
You're going to take over for Madam Bennett. You're going to be the new week, because her predictions, so far we've read 2 of them, none of them even remotely close. So you're going to get letters from people, write them in there, and then you're going to have a weekly psychic prediction of just some random horse shit that sounds really smart. So
Yeah, that'd be a great little segment.
hell yeah. All right. So continuing on here, another sighting was reported of the Black Knight satellite in the 60s. On March 7th, 1960, keep in mind, this article literally came from Time magazine. Okay, they published an article that read, 3 weeks ago, headlines announced that the U.S. had detected a mysterious, quote, dark satellite wheeling overhead on a regular orbit. There was nervous speculation that it might be a surveillance satellite launched by the Russians, and brought the uneasy sensation that the U.S. did not know what was going on over their head. This is a real article in Time magazine from 1960. I'm not saying Time magazine can always be trusted or whatever, but I feel like they've had a pretty good, reputable, I don't know, whatever. I feel like they're a very reputable magazine, right?
Oh yeah, definitely, especially back in 1960. It is crazy because they described it pretty well.
Yeah. Now, take a wild guess what you think the U.S. Department of Defense told the public after this article came out. What do you think in your mind they had reported initially?
If I had to roll the dice, it would probably pop up denial.
Well, kind of. Basically what they said was this object was nothing more than the Air Force Discoverer 8 satellite that had apparently broken apart. That was what they claim is what they were seeing.
Another Kecksburg.
I mean, basically, right?
Yeah. It's just a fucked up satellite. You know, we have a lot of those. They just fall out of the fucking sky all the time.
Like, why 3 weeks prior to the announcement of what they believed it is, would they release a report that there was a mysterious satellite orbiting overhead and they got scared that it was launched by the Russians? Like, why? How would they not be able to tell it was their own satellite immediately?
Well, I mean, back then, everyone was so Russia scared. They were probably afraid that people would freak out if they thought the Russians had satellites over the United States that size. So,
yeah,
because everyone was worried that they were going to somehow arm satellites with nukes. Maybe not at that time, but you know, later on with the big missiles that were coming out, rockets, and so I mean, I could see that if they were worried that people would be freaking out about it.
What I think was funny is, like, why would they even make an announcement about a weird dark satellite overhead? Why wouldn't they just say, hey, that's just our satellite that broke apart?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe the thing about, like we were talking about Roswell, how they kind of made an announcement before like the bigwigs could make the real announcement. It could be that situation.
Yeah.
Like some little wig made that announcement, and then all of a sudden it gets to the higher ups, and they're like, "Fuck, we didn't want that to come out." No. So they have to go do damage control,
Now,
put out what they wanted later on.
that's a very good point, actually. You know, like, I mean, we're all talking about this, and it basically sounds like your typical bullshit U.S. military cover-up story. But the funny thing is that their reasoning actually does hold a little credence, because they claim when declassified documents revealed that it was, in fact, a part of the United States Corona Project, a mission that produced the world's first successful space photo reconnaissance flights in an effort to monitor Soviet missile facilities. So they believe what you were seeing, or what they reported, or I don't know how the hell Time Magazine got this, was that it actually wasn't the Discoverer satellite. It was actually a like super secret satellite that they were using to spy on Russia. And they didn't want people to know that's what it was, apparently.
Yeah, that's like, well, with Roswell again, how it was, they claim that it was just a weather balloon, but actually it was that super secret nuclear explosion detecting weather balloon. And they kind of used the cover of, in this case, it sounds like that it was the Russians, when really it was them. And then they also used the cover that it was some other satellite that just kind of blew up. So they kind of had double coverage there for their own secret program.
Do you think if the Russians found out they had that and they were spying on them, like, they would have attacked immediately or something?
I mean, there was maybe during the Stalin years, but not during the Khrushchev years.
Yeah.
Definitely during the Stalin years, there might have been like quite a response, but Khrushchev was a little bit less hostile and a little bit more, conservative in their responses. So,
I mean, I'm not saying that he's like a great Russian leader, but I always felt like Khrushchev like did a lot more to help the country than Stalin obviously did. But
oh yeah, Stalin was all about fucking iron fist, like
Yeah.
Stalin first policy. So definitely.
all right, now the Black Knight satellite continued to be kind of relevant through the 70s and 80s, which included science fiction author Philip K. Dick's 1981 novel VALIS, or Vast Active Living Intelligence System, that straight up mentions the Black Knight. Now, do you remember us talking about Philip K. Dick before?
Was he one of the guys, the UFO researchers who was killed?
Yes, he was. That
Yeah, I
is,
thought so.
yeah, I feel like we've talked about him a couple times on the show, but yeah, he was definitely one of them who died mysteriously, but I cannot for the life of me remember at all, like, how he died or anything. I'd have to re-look into that, but yeah, he's definitely one of them, because he was a really big UFO guy around this time.
Yeah, I do remember when you said the name last time, I said, oh, it's good to hear of Philip doing good for himself. Then you mentioned how he dies, and I'm like, ooh, all right.
It's either Philip K. Dick, it's you, or it's, some royalty, Philip Morris, or some royalty in what, Ireland, getting their heads cut off?
Yeah, basically. or Prince Philip has the sweetest job on earth.
Good point. I always forget about him.
Yeah.
Now,
or worse, depending on how you look at it.
Now, this kind of brings us back to the biggest event in the mythos of the Black Knight satellite that occurred in 1998, which I mentioned in the very beginning of the episode with the infamous photo that I just showed you. And that was actually astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour flight STS-88 photographed that object that was hovering above Earth. Now, this space flight was particularly important because it was the first American space mission for the creation of the International Space Station. So already I feel like it's really weird. In your head, you're like, why would they even release this photo? You know what I mean? Like, they took the photo from their little whatever the hell they were in, but I don't know, it seems weird they'd even release that at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's a very momentous occasion, too, for it to happen in that situation. I wonder if that's the first time any astronauts or cosmonauts had ever seen this satellite or taken pictures of it. I wonder if this is the only picture that's been sent out. If there's been more pictures taken of this before.
No, that picture that I showed you is literally the only picture of it. Okay, I'm air quoting there. We're going to talk about the YouTuber in the very end here, but that picture is pretty much the only picture of what people believe is the Black Knight satellite, and it's just from that picture as basically them dug up everything that mentions the Black Knight satellite and kind of have woven it into this giant, larger conspiracy explaining what this thing could be, essentially, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean there. But what I'm saying is, I wonder if the 1998 picture is the only picture NASA's ever taken of it that's been released.
Oh.
I wonder if astronauts or cosmonauts have actually seen this thing before, but been told to shut their mouths about it.
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. I wonder if they've ever seen this thing and tried to make contact with it. That would be interesting too. To see if its systems like actually responded. That'd be kind of crazy.
Well, let me tell you all about NASA's explanation about what this thing is, okay?
Yeah.
Now, one of these astronauts that was aboard this particular space mission was named Jerry Ross and would be speaking about the sighting of the mysterious black object and the mission itself. Now, Ross claims that the entire creation of the International Space Station was a complete mess filled with all sorts of blunders. Like, we're talking about Three Stooges type of shit here. Now, his explanation for what exactly the mysterious object actually is rather simple. The STS-88 mission required 2 spacewalks, one of which involved wrapping 4 Trunian pinions, I think that's how you say it. I don't even know what a Trunian pinion is. On the
Trunnion.
Trunnion pinion? Okay, so do you know what that thing actually is?
A trunnion is kind of like a part that, like, I think it kind of like holds 2 pieces together. So it's got like, it basically, like you put a pin through it and it holds 2 kind of movable pieces together. Helicopters use them.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense then. Now, the story goes, these pins, he was installing them on a ISS node in thermal blankets to prevent heat leaks through the pin's exposed metal. According to Ross, while he and fellow astronaut Jim Newman were on a EVA installing these thermal blankets. What's an EVA again, Phil?
That's a term used when you go on a spacewalk.
Okay. Alright, well that makes sense then. Now, according to this man, one of these thermal blankets came loose from the tether. So according to Jerry Ross, the entire ominous black object that people have constructed a century-long conspiracy about is nothing more than just a thermal blanket that he lost hold of that is now entering Earth's atmosphere and burning up or whatever. That is NASA's reasoning for the shape in the picture that you see. Now, when you look at that, does that look like a thermal blanket to you?
Not really. No. I imagined that NASA would use some kind of "it's a bug on the window" explanation. So.
No, apparently to them that item is a thermal blanket that the astronaut dropped.
I mean, it could possibly be like some kind of outer piece and just kind of facing the camera at the right angle. The problem is, why would the astronauts take a picture of it and, send it out like that. Why would they document their fuck up like that and then present it to the world?
That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't they just delete that photo or just say, hey, here's a thermal blanket? Why would they just have the picture and not explain it immediately?
Yeah, also that object looks really, it might be just a size thing, but that object looks really far away and gigantic. Like, it doesn't look like something small that's close up.
You know what it looks like to me? Literally the fucking alien spaceships from The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, the ones that come down and they look like a bee stinger on the bottom.
Yeah, whatever, the Guardians or whatever the hell they have like little keys in their fingers or whatever the hell those things are.
Oh, the dudes who look like giant pigs. Yeah.
Yeah. God, that's a good movie.
That is. Great documentary.
So, it might be one day.
Yeah.
It's funny, me and my friend Nick always used to do like the multi-pass thing. Remember when she does that? Multi-pass.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway, the last thing I have here is something that I stumbled across. Now, one YouTube channel called Terry's Theory claimed that there's actually photos of the Black Knight satellite taken from Apollo 17, which was the last time NASA launched a space flight to the moon. I watched this whole little 6-minute video. Anybody can check it out. So, Apollo 17 launched on December 7th, 1972, and landed on the moon on December 12th, 1972. So, Terry, while he was searching through, he literally does this in the video, he's searching through thousands of these photos taken from Apollo 17, which is open to the public. You can literally look at these if you want to. He stumbles upon this one particular image of Earth, and in the very corner, it looks like a little shape, kind of like the Black Knight satellite is. Like, you can barely see it there, but if you zoom in on it, it kind of has the shape of the picture that I showed you. It's just you can't see it in quite as much detail, but the weird thing is that the picture was taken in 1972. Obviously now there's like space debris fucking everywhere up there, but in 1972 there wouldn't have been nearly as much as there is in 1998, right? So
oh yeah, definitely.
It's a very weird thing to have in the photo, but again, it could be some debris or something, but it's just very weird that it was taken so long before 1998. So I don't really know. It's just the whole situation's very weird. It's a lot of like really weird events that have kind of been just woven into this one really big satellite or whatever, big conspiracy.
Yeah. Did he say that he was looking through all those pictures specifically looking for the Black Knight satellite, or was he just looking for anything like alien?
He was just looking for anything. Just anything.
Anything? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if he was specifically looking for the Black Knight satellite, then I would say, well, he went looking for something and
he found it.
When you look for something, you're going to find it. So
no,
but yeah, if he was just looking for anything, then I guess that's a little better.
Well, I mean, like
Pretty interesting though.
The Apollo 17, like in his video, shows him clicking through all the pictures, and there's like a fucking 1,000 pictures, from the flight or whatever of basically Earth and all of that. But I don't know. He must have looked like when you first look at the picture, you can't even see it, but then you look in the very bottom corner, and there's just like this little black object down there. Like, you can see how big Earth is, and then there's just this like little object kind of in the lower atmosphere. It's very, very strange.
One of those things where once you see it in the picture, you can't unsee it. Your eyes are just drawn to it every time.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. You said that Apollo mission, they took thousands of pictures of Earth. That's a lot of Photoshop to do back then with that technology to make it look round.
Dude, just imagine how many pictures there is of all the Apollo flights. Like, Jesus Christ, how would they Photoshop all of them?
Yeah, pretty diligent staff over there at NASA.
To cover, and it's funny, it's like, why in the world would they even cover that up? I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that concludes the Black Knight satellite, Phil. What are some of your thoughts about this potential object or whatever?
I mean, it's really interesting. There's a shit ton of satellites up in like near Earth orbit right now. Like there's so much space junk, like you were talking about. Like it's almost getting to the point where it's a problem now. It's amazing that there hasn't been more pictures of this taken. That's my first thing. It's like, it's almost like what was 1998? That was 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
So 22 years now. You would think that there would be more pictures taken of it by other space, like the Chinese are up there, the Russians are up there, the British go up there pretty much with us. But you would think that like more people would have taken pictures of it or detected it in outer space because all those satellites are tracked. So
what if it left or something? I don't know, or hit. I don't really know that. Yeah, that's a good point. You know what's funny? I don't know if this is an overestimation, but from one thing I was reading, they estimate there's like 100,000 satellites and just debris up there.
Oh yeah, you got to think how many cell phones are there on Earth? How many GPS satellites? Old fucking intelligence satellites that haven't been turned on in 30 years, just floating around up there.
Yeah.
Or there's old satellites just waiting to be turned on in case shit goes down.
Yeah. I was just like, Jesus, that seems like a lot of shit up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. It's not, I mean, it's kind of like throwing a fucking bottle of water in the, there's a lot of ocean out there. So one bottle's not going to do it. But when you get enough for a whole continent sized full of fucking garbage, that's kind of the problem they're running into now. Trying to launch.
Won't they eventually? Doesn't that debris eventually either get sucked out into space or come crashing into Earth?
Yeah, it depends on its orbit and how high up it is. The problem is when it orbits around the Earth, it goes like super fucking fast. Like its orbit takes it around the Earth. You would think that Earth and the moon, and the sun really would disrupt its orbit and eventually either send it out or put it in. It's kind of crazy that there's so much shit left up there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's if we ever live to the point where there's actual space travel, which I hope we do, it'll be interesting to see all that. It'll look like New York City up in the fucking orbit.
Yeah, hopefully they clean that shit up by the time we get up there. Fucking, I don't want to be taking a fucking, oh yeah, we're going to take a, 6.5 hour trip to the moon. All of a sudden you hit a little screw from some satellite from the 1980s and, implodes your fucking ship.
Yeah, that would be, oh god, that would suck. But I'm just going to give my final thing here. I don't really know what it is. In the picture, it doesn't, to me, look like a goddamn thermal blanket, but I guess it very well could be. Is it an alien artifact? I don't know. If we believe aliens are real, I definitely would assume they're keeping an eye on everybody or just watching, how humans do stuff or whatever. But if they have flying saucers and whatever, why would they need that fucking old-ass satellite?
Yeah, you would. Well, also the problem that I have is everyone says it's 13,000 years old, but the only person, it seems like the origin of it came from a science fiction writer saying it was 13,000 years old.
Yeah, that's the weird. That's what I mean. It's just like things just keep getting sucked into this goddamn thing.
Yeah, everything just snowballs. Everything that sounds kind of like it just gets snowballed in like little facts.
I will say the Tesla thing is really interesting to me because that dude messed with some really weird shit.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where he's so smart he almost seems like an alien himself. He's kind of like that Elon Musk character.
I think that's why David Bowie played such a good Tesla in The Prestige, because he's probably as weird as Tesla was.
Oh yeah, super fucking eccentric.
Yeah. But I think Bowie was insanely intelligent with music and stuff.
Yeah, he did a really good job in the movie Zoolander too. If you ever see that one.
I have. The gasoline fight. I love that part.
Yeah.
Random gasoline fight. But anyway, Phil, if anybody wants to look at said picture of Black Knight Satellite and tell us what they think, where can they do that?
Well, they can take a look at the picture on our Instagram page. It's Subliminal Deception Podcast. It's on IG. We also have an email, subliminaldpodcast@gmail.com. Go ahead and send any theories that you might have for what this is, or, if you have a suggestion for an episode we might want to do, give it a shot. We have actually done one in the past, but that was a really good one, 23andMe. We also have our own personal Instagrams. Mine's SDPodPhil. I'm making a point to start checking it at least once a week and posting something. So, give me a shot there. Cody, you got a few?
Yeah, you can follow my my personal one at Cody's Above. Yeah, for sure. Like Phil said, if you have recommendations, especially of conspiracies or weird events that aren't that well known, I would really enjoy that. I think Phil would too. So hit us up on Instagram or email. Otherwise, if you're into true crime, paranormal, all that stuff, follow my other podcast, Bumblebutt Podcast, on Instagram or your favorite podcasting application. I as far as we know, we're getting some new listeners, and our new listeners, what we could use from you is a 5-star review on iTunes. Help the show grow. Help Phil and I boost our egos a little bit. That's always great. Type in whatever the hell you want. Doesn't matter. Just hit 5-star or join us on the revolution for the Spotify takeover, which I am all aboard. But anyway, I hope you guys loved the episode or found it interesting at least. And we will see you next week.
All right. Great job, Cody. Thanks, guys.